Our minds work day and night to try and solve puzzles, to try and solve the riddles of life. And there's no more worthy puzzle than the truths of our reality, of our perception, of our existence, of our meaning of life. Our minds work tirelessly. I say day and night because we're consumed by our mind's attempts to try and decrypt our experiences throughout the day. And at night, in our dreams, our mind is still working. If we are prone to projects that seem grander than our reasonable, rational capacities, they're projects that are using insight and using intuition and using inspiration, using sources of information that we've not yet fully identified or formed a rational relationship with. It's still the unknown. It's still the places that have been yet to be explored. It's all part of the unknown and the madness. Away from the mind, the rational, the ego, the sciences, the measurable, the logical. It still is logical. It still is rational. These glimpses of information from these unknown places, they are still rational and logical in hindsight. But as we receive these fragmented glimpses of information, of knowledge, of wisdom, they only become knowledge and wisdom when they accumulate into a cohesive pattern, when they weave a tapestry, when there's a significant body of recorded information. Then in hindsight, in retrospect, after studying and putting together a map of sorts, a map of understanding, when there's enough of that there, created, manifest, for us to observe with our more conscious mind rather than our unconscious mind, you could say that. When there's enough proof or evidence, only then do we take it really seriously. But other than that pivotal moment, up until then, it'll all be too close to being cast into the shadows through fear, through just, I don't know. We're so scared of the truth. Ultimately, we're just so scared of our own truths. They can be deeply personal or very deeply shared, that we all have in common. We all have personal truths in common. So coming back to the dream state, I think there's a lot of subconscious and mystical alignment, mystical passages that are left open when we drift out of our more, I don't know, like aware, awake, conscious state that we call sobriety, that we call having a clear mind. When our mind is able to function at our command, we call that being conscious, being awake, being sharp of mind, when we're able to command our mind to think. But that command, that comes from the ego. Ego likes to command. Ego likes to control. So ultimately, I think sobriety feels more like the mind is being commanded by the ego. But the mind is an aspect of its own. It just is a powerhouse of problem solving. And this whole maddening and beautifully truthful path that I seem to be obsessing on is partly letting the aspects just run free and being aware of them, having a will, having a characteristic that's natural. Watching our own aspects run, whether autonomously, or by command, by choice. I think ultimately what it comes down to depends on your perspective, depends on what you desire, depends on what you seek. I seek truth. I seek truth within me. I seek truth out there within the world for other people. I hope to connect to myself with myself through seeking truth. And the mind, this powerful aspect that we let run our lives day and night without control. I think there's great power in control, in capturing its messages to us night and day. And I think there's also great power in letting go of that control and just listening. Much like when we listen to our bodies, it communicates truths to us all the time. And I think our mind is working tirelessly because it loves to understand things. It's our best problem-solving tool. It's our best fact finder. Maybe not fact finder. I'm fueling it with the intention of truth. So my mind is becoming a more attuned, finely tuned truth seeker. So this is my personal preference. And I make this note very quietly in the middle of the night while I'm staying at my mum's place. I've often mentioned that I have problems sleeping because my mind won't quieten. I obsess over details. I obsess over the faint wafts of scent, the fleeting tendrils of wisdom. Whatever it is, there's faint traces of truth that are being detected by different aspects, provided by different sources. And it's largely from the unknown, largely from observation. It's a unity of communication coming together, and if you neglect the unknown sources of information, if you reject them, you reject what is, you reject truth. Potentially, everything is potentially. Can we really ever prove anything? How can we build such a scientific process when so much is from the unknown? We can only know something through enough body of evidence that we can extrapolate and see undeniable patterns. And if an individual can see that and enough people see that, then we weave a story and we create terms and labels of understanding. And we're able to use those maps, those blueprints, those formula, those recipes to reproduce and get the same results. The scientific method is based around that. So our mind loves that. It loves to seek understanding. So this is my journey. I'm seeking what am I seeking? I am seeking truth through understanding. So far, that's it. Right, middle of the night, dreaming. It's a kind of in-between state. My dreams can make no sense and every sense. They are fantastical. They are miraculous. If they're in alignment with my intention of seeking truth, and they are able to tap into the unknown sources of information, of truth that's being communicated, and I can only catch glimpses of their garbled translations through sleep, through dreams. Maybe in those states, if it's not just fanciful, random dreams, there might be some dreams that are just a door cracked ajar in my consciousness that's coherent enough. It's a strong enough link to my conscious mind for it to translate some usable information and patterns and correlations so that I can add to my tapestry, add to my map, add to my larger understanding. It's exhausting, but it's obsessive, and it's in line with what I seek, and I seek truth. So I'm trying to get better with my sleep patterns. I'm trying to treat my body better. I don't want to feel tired. I don't want to feel groggy. I've got to say though, the revelations, the way I've been affected positively through different times, different moments throughout this journey of seeking truth, of being vulnerable, of revealing so much more of myself to myself. Advancing, evolving, new layers of awareness, new things to focus on, to adapt, to implement, to learn, to grow, to know, to feel, to connect, to give peace, to give understanding, to create, to manifest. All of this wonder is a large part of my life, and I believe countless other people's lives. We're all seeking answers and truths. And I think if you're also seeking truth, you might feel like trying my route. And my route is you've got to. Maybe you don't have to. I've chosen to try and understand my own truths as best as I can. You can be obsessively impatient by being a trailblazer, by trying to be the first, satiating that part of your ego that needs recognition and needs the reward of bringing light to the world first. Or you can be perfectly happy with listening to my ramblings and other people's ramblings and other people's glimpses of what really is a unified truth. Glimpses of information from across time, from across the arts, from across academia, from across any scholarly journey, across the world, across time, across gender, across everything. We're so privileged to being of a dominant, highly gifted, highly capable, enlightened, higher level of consciousness, sentient being. There has never been a better time than now. So as I was dreaming just now, well, not just now, I've been talking for a while, tonight, I'm pretty sure I was sleep talking, as I do sometimes. I've done in the past. I tried recording it, and it just seemed like really random regurgitations of the mind, reenactments, or some kind of creative translation. Yeah, a lot of it can be very, very abstract, and you don't need to read too much into it. I'm aware of that. There is a possibility that I'm willing to explore and keep myself open to. Just enough to not scare it away, but just enough to perhaps further document truths. Because if I dream whilst my mind is still obsessing, working tirelessly to try and decrypt further truths in alignment with my intention to just reveal and understand truths, to unite pieces of information through all sources, all aspects of myself and our outer reality, then maybe I can do it all, and maybe I can reveal very useful and needed wisdom, information, whatever. I wasn't able to capture my sleep talking, but I think I was awoken because my mind was saying, hey, I'm trying to speak sense to you. I've figured something out. This is important. And it did remind me of the Stormlight Archive, which I've been listening to. Dalinar Colin's character in the book, when he is visited by the Stormfather in what others around him see as a fit. He just turns unconscious and he starts having this fit. But to Dalinar, he's not having a fit. He's having a vision, he's having a dream, he's being communicated to, he's being communicated with, he has access to something. Something is speaking to him, and he's, well, not within his control, he's just able to translate some information. And that's all the work of fiction, of course. And that's another reason why I love narrative and storytelling, because they can carry, and comedy, because they can all carry so much hidden truth, masked in wit, masked in abstract storytelling. And that's maybe what keeps some of that magic. Maybe it is this intangible thing of creativity. Maybe it is something that we can't document. As soon as we try and look at it, like pattern with Shalon at the beginning, maybe it is something that if we're between these realms and we haven't established a strong enough bond and relationship with the truth, maybe if we try too hard to look at it with our conscious mind, with a measuring attitude of the sciences, then maybe we just can't see, and we can't hear, and we can't feel, we can't detect. The portal's closed. That's why so many wondrous and abstract and creative inspirations can come when we are experiencing an in-between state, another state, a state of sleep, a state of heightened awareness, a state of high or a state of low. These are all just words. Language is so language is the best thing we have to try and communicate ideas. I hope this is useful. I feel and hope like there's a great deal of us, if not all of us, to some degrees, feel as though there is magic. There is so much beauty in the unknown, so much truth to discover. My route has been to acknowledge this and make it both a conscious and unconscious task to seek truth. And I've done so by looking in myself first, whilst observing the outside world as well, to find correlations, to find patterns, to find truth. And the more willing I am to unveil and to share, to liberate myself of falsities and to embrace truths in whichever way they come to me, the way I realize them and detect them, whilst cheekily, whilst sneaking some documentation for my sober states, for my mind and ego dominated states where I don't have control fully. Such a contradiction. Anyway, please have a good night.